Welcome to Riders Live. I'm your host, Riders. This episode is The Source from Season 9, Episode 7. And we will talk about the holy grail of journalism, which is The Source magazine. So, for those of y'all who might not know what The Source is, it was a magazine that actually came out in the 80s, but I didn't start reading it until maybe like really reading it until like 1990s. I think the first cover I seen was Ice Cube. He graced it when he got his 5 mics for America's Most Wanted album, which is a classic. One thing that I did like about the Source magazine is that it had everything laid out like a dictionary. So basically, some of y'all might not know what a dictionary is, but it had everything in sequential order, the Source did. It had the fat tape section. It had style section, fashion, culture, unsigned hype. So we're going to get into this holy grail. Let's start with the fashion. If anything related to the culture was coming out, like the latest fashions, like Avarex, Lugs, Timberlands, it was in there. And 9 times out of 10, they had an artist being a model. Fubu, LL, he rocked the Fubu. Nas, he rocked the Carl Kanai. Um, Birdman had a deal with Lugs. He was rocking the Lugs. Mobb Deep, they had on the Averex jackets. So these was things that were cemented in the streets and in hip hop culture, something that you could gravitate to and relate to without any negative effects. So the Source was big on fashion and they bought it to you issue after issue after issue. Now the issues they came out once a month. So it had fashion, styles, eye candy, but I read it to see what albums was coming out. I wanted to know the backstories on artists before they dropped their project. It was like a whole layout. It was like Thanksgiving dinner. Not none of this fast food stuff where you just look on the internet and you hear somebody talking about this and then on another page they're talking about that. It's too much to consume all at one time depending on who you giving this information to. Whereas the Source, it grinded up the food like baby food, you know. A little at the time, okay, you're gonna eat your breakfast. Okay, now you finna have a lunch. Okay, you could get a snack. Now it's time for dinner. That might not be the greatest analogy, but it was the perfect layout. It was perfect. So the Source was big on culture, style, and perspective. So they had the fat tape section. So what the fat tape section was, it had like B sides that artists submitted to the DJs that'll be on the mixtapes, and the ones that they like, they highlight them, whether the project was out or you didn't know the artist. This automatically made you check for the artist to see what they about, find them, and it created anticipation for their project. Shout out to the fat tape section. It's sort of like the mixtape, if you ask me. The prequel partner of the mixtape was the fat tape. You could usually find any fat tape song on a mixtape. And the mixtapes that I'm talking about are like DJ Clue tapes, Ron G, Stretch and Bobito. Let me see, I'm missing one. I don't know. It's a lot of mixtapes that I used to collect, but the Clue tapes, Ron G, um, oh, Funk Master Flex. He was Hollywood, but he would play some joints. Oh, Craig G mixtape. Nah. Shout out to Craig G from the Juice Crew though. I'm trying to see. I can't think of it right now. But the mixtapes was the bomb. Then you had the unsigned hype. So what the unsigned hype was the source was basically bringing you the next best thing. I actually submitted, a song to the unsigned hype, but I don't think our marketing and packaging was good enough, or maybe we just wasn't good enough. But I think we was, but we didn't make it. Somebody else got the unsigned hype that month. And when I say us, I'm talking about CNR. But yeah, the unsigned hype, some unsigned hype alumni is Mob Deep, the notorious, the notorious Big. Um, who else? I think Razcast was in the unsigned hype. So, the unsigned hype, it brought you the next big thing. What else? The record report. So during the 90s, it was a lot of classic albums coming out. And it was a lot of classic albums coming out at the same time. So when you go to the record report and it got the hip hop quotable in there, you automatically say, man, this is the best lyricist this month out of all the projects. And, if you was on a budget as far as buying CDs or whatever or tapes, if you couldn't get a dub or a burn, whatever artist was the had the hip hop quotable in the record report, you was checking for that. You was checking for that artist and that project. And also in the record report of the Source magazine, it had the five mic rating system. So five is superior. No, five is hip hop classic. Four and a half is superior. Four mics is dope. Three and a half is, it's straight, solid, official. Three mics is good. Um, Two and a half below, you can forget about it, but I'm gonna keep it a whole buck. It's some two and a half mic albums. I don't want to repeat the artists because I got such immense respect for them. I think the source probably played them because they didn't put up no bread, you know. And them getting two and a half mics in the publication, in my opinion, was very ludicrous, very ludicrous. So yeah, the record report was dope. It help you gauge what projects to buy, and it help you budget your money. Even if you wanted to get all of the projects that was coming out in that month, you'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna get these ones with the best ratings first or whatever. But the thing is, not only did they have the ratings, they had the story, the reason, who they was, where they was from, why they gave them the rating that they got, who worked on the album. The proof is in the details. They had the details, and that's what made the source so dope. What else? The source had street credibility. Yes, yes. The Source had the streets on lock. Man, I hate that. I don't know if the Source is still out, but man, I hate that. If it's still out, that I haven't read it in a while, or if it ended, man, that's bogus. But what I do want to go over is some of the Five Mike albums, or almost Five Mike albums. Ice Cube, America's Most Wanted, Nas, Illmatic, Notorious Big, Life After Death, Nas, Stillmatic, Jay-Z, The Blueprint. Those is just a few. The Source shitted on a lot of good albums too. Pause. But for the most part, they was on point with their journalism and the way they brought it to you every month. So I really rocked with the Source. I think the Source is something that hip hop is missing. The Source really helped independent artists because she could put advertisements in the Source, and maybe 50,000 or 100,000 people. You put an ad up in there, they'll see it. You could get sales. Simple as that. The distributors will see your stuff in there. It wouldn't be hard to, get off some boxes in a couple of regions for distribution, without the consignment. So let's talk about some of these covers. KRS-One has Grace, the iconic Source. Das Effects. Now, Das Effects, they brought something new to rap. I really wasn't checking for them, but they was cool. EPMD, Tupac, Death Row, Bad Boy, UGK, Queen Latifah, Outkast, DMX, Ice Cube, Eminem, Death Row, The Firm, Rockefeller, D Block, The Brat, the Snoop Doggy Dogg. You know what I'm saying? Just to name a few. I got put on to a lot of artists from the Source magazine. Onyx, Cormega, Black Rob. And when I got put on to these artists, it wasn't for any type of commercial, from any type of commercial success, but only the success of them making a fat tape section. You know, I think these was records that they leaked out so people could hear them and it could ignite the buzz. But I missed the Source. One thing about this podcast, I try to keep my journalistic integrity where it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't try to involve myself in gossip. I don't try to fabricate. If I don't have the facts, or if I don't know the facts, I ain't gonna speak on it. I ain't gonna speak on nobody. If I don't know what's going on. But one thing that I can say about a lot of the journalists, like right now, um, it's artists that got cases and everything. The journalists that I'm speaking on in particular is a lot of these YouTubers. And I think I said them in my Culture Vulture episode, and I ain't gonna get them no more light, but you gotta have journalistic integrity. You know, even when you doing a show or delivering your message to the masses, you gotta do your homework. You gotta have facts, and most importantly, don't speak on nothing that you don't know about. One thing about the Source magazine, they cited everything. They had their quotes up in there and everything. Their marketing was good, and it was a must-have every month whenever it came out. And I missed the Source, so let me know if you missed the Source magazine. If you never had the chance to read the Source magazine, See if you can find a copy and go online and read a copy and let me know what you think about the publication. So this has been another episode of Writers Live, Season 9, Episode 7, The Source. Make sure y'all binge this season. It's available on all streaming platforms. And make sure you go ahead and get some podcast merchandise from www.writerslivepodcaststore.com. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms. Um, the season is out to binge. Let me know what's your best episode. All right, peace.